welcome to Shattered Reflections. This is episode number 2.
It is.
How are you all?
Well, a little busy, but it's just finding
Very
time
busy.
for my little podcast.
Yeah, it is a busy time. I will just get on with the introductions quickly. I'm Ryan. I'm the guy who seems to have watched virtually all of Black Mirror. And then we got Duncan.
I'm the guy who just started watching it and is watching it just immediately before each recording.
So it's fresh in the mind.
Yeah. Last time I watched it the night before. This time I watched it the morning of.
Perfect. And then we got Dariusz.
Who hides it?
The guy that we've dragged along for the ride, kicking and screaming.
Basically, that happened. Yes.
He dragged himself. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
He's doing some kind of weird mime thing where he's like throwing an invisible rope onto a cart and is now like getting dragged by it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, he's the masochist. He's the Black Mirror masochist. That's how that works. And so yeah, we're gonna move on with Shattered Reflections episode 2. We're gonna move on with episode 2 of Black Mirror, and just a couple of quick things on that. We've decided we're taking our own feedback on this. We're gonna try and reduce the synopsis of the episode down a little bit. It's a little bit helpful with this episode because we can clear a little bit of crap out of there. We don't need to do introductions. We don't need to discuss what is Black Mirror again because you should have watched the first episode. If you haven't, I'll put a linky-do for the YouTube now. And then otherwise, if you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, just listen to the previous episode. But we're gonna get right on it with who starred and wrote Black Mirror, or this episode. So, co-written by Charlie Brooker again, referred to episode 1, and his wife, Connie Hook.
Very nice.
So, she's actually like a children's TV entertainer, did Blue Peter, big British institution over here, but she was also on the show The Extra Factor.
The Extra
I'll try
Factor.
again. Yeah, which is a companion series to The X Factor, a big musical TV talent show. And she's also a character in the Amazon Prime show Good Omens, which is just what I wanted to know on that. And then directed by Euros Lyn, who's done a load of Doctor Who related stuff, if you like your sci-fi that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of a strange thing. I never watched Doctor Who.
Ah. Well,
Probably because I'm not British.
Yeah, again, British institution, pretty much. So it sort of has leaked over to America recently with the the revival and stuff like that. And Torchwood Children of Earth was the big event TV thing that had happened that he had directed. So, he's quite known in that regard. And then notable cast members: Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, Mr. Daniel. For those in the audience will know him, probably best for his most recent work in the film Get Out by Key and Peele, and he's just as good in this as he is in that. I can see why he was picked for this and that for that matter.
Yeah, it'll become very, very clear that Jordan Peele specifically stated that a scene that Daniel Kaluuya does in this episode is the reason he ended up in Get Out, and we will get to that later. He's also been in Black Panther.
Isn't
He's
he
Black
like
Panther?
the rhino herder?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? I actually only remember this because as a little tangent here, I was watching a review of Black Panther, sort of a comedic review, by a guy named Mahler. He's a YouTuber. He's big. Likes to do the Star Wars and Marvel movies. He does two main styles of videos where it's like 6 hour long super analytical reviews, and then shorter ones that are like more just like stream of consciousness, all out angry reviews, which he calls the Unbridled Rage series. He did an Unbridled Rage for Black Panther, and throughout the entire review he referred to Mr. Kaluuya as Get Out.
He's just called Get Out.
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, great. And speaking of Marvel, there's another character. You only see it very, very briefly in this, But Selma, the character of Selma, played by Hannah John Carmen, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She plays Ghost.
Ooh.
The sort of anti-villain in that film.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so, that comes up. And then also Jessica Brown Findlay, Abby Khan. She basically plays in period dramas. She was well known for being in Downton Abbey, just so you all know.
So Abby's from Abby. Got it?
Yep. I mean, it just sort of works out. And then finally, one other big one there. Rupert Everett plays Judge Hope.
Sort of our Simon Cowell of the episode.
Yep. Which I've put in my notes here that he's well known for being Dr. Claw in Inspector Gadget, and then Prince Charming in Shrek 2 and 3.
Ooh.
One word, like Madonna.
Yep. Charming. So now that we got the cast out of the way, let's get straight into the story, and we start pretty brightly for a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that this is the second episode in a row that starts with the main character sleeping in a bed in a dark room to be awoken by a screen. I feel like that's a running theme here. I wonder if that'll continue.
Yeah, just in case technology wasn't ingrained in this.
If that does keep up, don't spoil it for me. I want to keep it a secret.
Okay, no, that's
I want to
fine.
see if the show can go for a turkey.
Yep, no, we will definitely see how that goes. We'll see if you succeed in that one, episode 3. But yeah, we wake up. Well, Bing
with a smile on her
wakes
face.
up. Yeah, yeah. So we see Bing, who lives in what can only be described as a cell full of LCD screens.
I would prefer a cubicle.
A cubicle.
A cubicle.
It's like every science fiction film's depiction of what the future will look like. It's just sleek walls, screens everywhere, everything is plain and dark and boring, and everything's all futury and slick.
And the screens or projectors are like brighten up the rooms.
Yeah. And then it's like and then lino on the floor, which was just like just lino, and just like what can only really be described as like a bed in a police cell. It's just like a mattress, and one cushion, and that's all you get.
Gathering from the whole story of that episode, I can agree. Why do you think it's a prison? I would more say like either they are in the prison sort of, or they are like kind of working low class people basically.
Yeah.
Who are just only sleep work. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, and that shows in this as well, because he wakes up, brushes his teeth, and then heads off to loosely defined work. Not before he sees a pop-up ad for Wraith Babes. Count that as number 1.
Oh, should we really count them?
Yeah. So
oh the way they play with ads in this
well,
episode.
I might rewatch it just to get the count right.
Yeah. But and so he's there, and you'll notice in there, and it runs through now, that he's got this credit balance, or what they call merits, in the show, and he has a lot of them.
Yeah, they establish, first of all, merits are currency. Merits are earned through work, which generally involves
work.
just pedaling a bicycle.
Yep.
Which is called work.
Yeah, just about work. And he heads to said work, to the tune of "I Have a Dream," which is kind of funny. And just gets on his bike, rides, and that is everyone's day. They basically, it's one of 3 things you do in this world. You either ride a bike and get through your shift, earning merits as you go, which are used for everything. Absolutely everything.
They can be used for food.
Yep.
Or your avatar in the game.
Yeah, your doppel.
Even just get a little dribble of toothpaste out of your future bathroom and costs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And skipping advertisements.
Yeah, I wanna circle back around to that at a later point in this podcast because I think that's a really interesting point. That's again, it's one of those things where they like future proofed their writing, where it's like, holy shit, that's a thing still.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We will get round to that. So yeah, so you've got your riders, and then you've got your streamers. So your people like the judges from the Hot Shot show, which we'll explain later, Wraith Babes, and this show called Bother Guts, which is where the other types of people in this world arrive. The fat people, the people who can't ride on the bike.
Keep up.
The lemons, as they call them. Or, if you are unable to ride the bike, you then end up wearing the yellow jumpsuits, and you've gone lemon. And then you get humiliated on this show called Bother Guts, where this guy just basically throws food in your face. Eat it all up, fatty. I feel that in this world I would have gone lemon, which is slightly awkward. Now, no, well, I mean, initially when I first watched it, that'd probably be the case. Nowadays, I'd ride the fucking bike.
Yeah, man, get on that bike, get skinny, get swole.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're feeling good, you know what? I don't care. I could ride a bike for probably 8 hours a day every day. Sure.
I mean, there's no rules about how fast you gotta go, or it's just like, hey, you ride your bike, you make merits. If you make enough merits to live, that's where it is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the high life at that point. And so we go through that day. He gets to his lunchtime, tries to get an apple. It gets stuck in the machine. It gets a bit of help from a girl called Swift.
Yeah, I never got a name for that, so I just called her. For a while there, I didn't know what either of the girls' names were called, so I just called them Girl 1 and Girl 2.
Yeah.
Girl 1 never got a name, so.
Yeah. A couple of other characters while we're there then. So yeah, you have Swift, and then you got the ginger guy called Kai, and he's just so materialistic. And then Dustin, the rudest dickhead in the whole of Black Mirror, from what it sounds like at this point.
Well, we are on episode 2, so you don't know.
Well, yeah.
He is what you Englishmen would refer to as a wanker. I believe that's a technical term.
Yes, that would be correct. Yeah, so that's that day done. We get there. Bing goes home, in finger quotes. Plays his game where he's just shooting lemons. And then gets interrupted by an advert for Hot Shot, the Britain's Got Talent X Factor style talent show that this world has.
Being the North American of the audience, I wrote down America's Got Talent, but I guess I at the time I didn't realize that like other forms of talent were on it, because I just thought it was a singing show, so that's why I correlated it to the America's Got Talent. But no, I guess it does structurally resemble a little bit more like the Britain's Got Talent kind of thing. Yeah, sort of get people in, and it's a little bit different like to America's Got Talent, as it just seems to be known on the case that if you have your talent and you impress the judges, your life is done. You're sorted. That's you for the rest of time.
Right.
Sorted for life. So Bing naturally skips that advert and then gets Wraith Babes ad number 2.
Yay! Wraith Babes!
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
And it was around this point where I was kind of like, oh my god, this whole like enterprise of skipping advertisements is just like, it's like I can't even think about how many different platforms and how many different groups nowadays, like a significant part of their revenue, their subscription, and one of the big draws is just being able to skip ads. It's just like ads are how we make our money. So if you want to skip them, you pay us, and that's your premium.
Yeah, and it's I mean that's the thing, especially like you say, in a world of ad blocking and pre-roll ads. It's a big thing to have that sort of suggestion. Yeah, it's like you can skip this ad if you pay £1 in PayPal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of like putting my mindset in like the time frame of when this came out. This is, we're still 2010 here, or whenever this came out. So it's like this was pre YouTube Red, pre Twitch. I mean, I'm sure ad blocker was stuck around somewhere around there, but like,
Yeah.
like there were a lot of, there's a lot of channels, a lot of big platforms that have introduced this sort of paid premium subscription where you can skip ads, and all of that cropped up after this. Like it 100% predicted the future on that.
Yeah. So yeah, we got that 2 for 2 on like weird like future predictions at that point. Given Piggate from last week or last fortnight. That's the other thing I didn't mention. We're going to try and move this to fortnightly because doing it once a week was just too much for us.
Yeah, it was a little bit tough.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it. I edited the last one, and by the time I got to it, it was Wednesday evening. And then I was like, well, hold on, now we've got to record again. It's like, how are we going to do that? So yeah, we're going to move it to every fortnight. Give us a bit more chance to do stuff.
Yep.
So yeah. While we're there, we now see what happens if you try and avoid watching an advertisement.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, he covers his eyes and it just immediately pauses the ad, and it's just like, you must watch this or pay to skip it. There's no other option. Which is like just living nightmare to me. It's like,
yeah,
I've always had this sort of, I've talked about it on the other podcast once or twice before. I've always had a sort of a weird phobia of like being trapped in a metaphysical sense. Like I'm not claustrophobic. I don't fear physical confinement as long as it's not like, right up in my face. But like the idea of being in an inescapable situation that, like there's nothing I can do to avoid it, that's a terrifying thought to me. So that kind of creeped me out for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's horrifies. I mean, it's sort of designed to. I mean, in that situation, he's in a sort of 8x6 foot cell.
Something like that. Yeah, sounds right.
And then just this red light as you're trying to close your eyes, and just the tone that comes in, the constant repeated telling you to resume viewing, just to the point where you will then be forced to open and just carry on the advert. It's just mad. Not that it put him off, because the advert told him, what else are you going to do tonight, and he brought the advert forward.
He did.
He got himself. Yeah.
He did.
He got himself a good night, and so we move through. We realise at this point one of the riders that struggled on the previous day has now gone lemon. So
I did miss that part a little bit. I wasn't quite sure what happened to him. I wasn't sure if he was like if he had a heart attack or if he was just like sick or what happened to him. But yeah, I understand what that now.
Yeah. So he'll be around in the episode later doing other stuff. But Bing now sees Abby for the first time, or hears her for the first time. He's gone to go for a piss, and he's just hearing someone singing, and this will be for the first time in a long time. Starts singing what's the name of the song? Oh yes, Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand by Irma Thomas. It's not too much of a spoiler to say, but you will be hearing that song a lot more through this Black Mirror journey.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. So that's gonna be a recurring thing. Okay.
Yeah. But it'll be a surprise when it does appear in the next episode. I won't say when. And so he meets Abby. Starts speaking to her in the most awkward conversation I've ever heard. He's just looking at her, and she just goes, "Well, I'm she's like staring at Bing, and she's going, "What?" And he goes, "Dry my hands," and she just responds with, "Impressive."
Indeed. Literally me having a conversation with anyone, but especially girls.
Yeah, I've had that sort of time as well. I feel like I can be quite talkative with people, especially in a remote capacity. I've not got no problems with that. Put me face to face with someone, and the words stop. You sort of have to try and find a new way to do something. But like I say, the moment got ruined by two things. One, by a guy farting in the cubicle behind them, and then the other with Rafe Babe's ad number 3 for Bing.
Rave Babe.
Hey there,
Rave Babe. Yay.
Hey there, regular user. It's like, oh god, he's used it once.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I guess
we met him from a certain point of his life, so you don't know how many times he used it.
Yeah. And then we move to the point where I put here, standard love story montage occurs. They're just cutting through the days of Bing just staring at Abby while she's doing stuff. She pulls out a penguin, like made out of origami, and puts it on the bike just for it immediately to be put in the bin by our lemon friend, who just says, detritus. Sorry. Which, just in case anyone's unsure, detritus is trash.
Alright.
Yeah. And then, we continue.
See, that's another thing that's gonna come back around. I'm gonna try to stick my own format and stop interrupting as much. So I'm just gonna.
Hey, no.
But I do want to make
fine.
a note of that. I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah, that all will all be there. So he gets another hotshot ad. I'm not counting these like I'm counting the Wraith Babe ones, but he gets another hotshot ad and then starts singing the song. He's proper smitten about this woman, and it's well known at this point when she tries to get an apple out of the vending machine, and he shows her the trick that he learned off Swift without crediting her.
Yeah, without crediting her. It's like I felt a little bad. It's like, oh, she clearly is like, kind of hitting on Bing a little bit, and but like he's just not impressed. It's like, thanks, I guess.
I think it's like oblivious. He doesn't notice. It's just.
Well, he's just so numb from his day-to-day life. It's just like, oh, okay, that happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But then from the recesses of his mind, possibly even unconsciously, he's just like, I'll use this trick that I picked up somewhere to impress / break the ice with my little girl I'm interested in.
Yeah, and it sort of works. They get into some small talk. They complimenting each other, and then sort of he compliments Abby singing, and then says, "Why don't you try for Hot Shot?" And she's like, "Fuck no. For a start, I'm an average singer, and for a second, do you know how many merits it costs to get a ticket for that? It's like 12 million merits." And Bing just goes, "I'll pay."
Yeah, so then and that's the point where we learn that Bing's fortune doesn't come from his incredible work ethic so much as it comes from an inheritance that he received from a brother that passed away the previous year.
Indeed.
And he puts it out on the line that he is willing to give away what he believes will be most of his inherited fortune just to give her a chance because he's just that interested to hear her sing and perform.
Keep in mind, this is just a chance. This is not something like, yeah, you're gonna definitely win it.
Yeah.
So it's that whole 12 millions can go to waste.
Yeah. If you do something and you fuck up, back down the line you go. And
back on the bike.
Yeah. And then that's how that works. A couple of other things to note on there as well. There seems to be some more world building on that as well. So he knew that he got this inheritance from his brother. So yeah, you die, your merits can just move on to the next of kin. The other thing on there is it seems to be people only end up in the cells once they turn 21. They live somewhere else, and then they end up on the bikes and in the cells at 21. And from what it looks like, excuses are made to separate you from family as well. Abby makes the line of saying that she wanted to go with her sister, but they were full, apparently.
Yeah, I think there's also, not in this scene, but like somewhere around here, I remember hearing like on a TV, one girl from Hot Shot was talking about how like a previous winner or whatever for Hot Shot mentioned how like she's seen the outside and it's so beautiful and she wished that everyone could see it, and then it's just kind of like in the background, so it's not really in the forefront, but that's another thing that is important to note.
Yeah, that will probably be one of the Selma interactions, because she's at this point she's the next big thing, so she can just easily sort of get away with saying all that. But like to everyone else, unless you've got that talent, you're just turning around and saying I'm better than you. But yeah, he eventually gets her to buy or persuades her that he will buy her the ticket and she'll go on Hot Shot. We get some more lovey-dovey interactions, and we got another Dustin comment, which is as Bing's just like riding the bike, he's looking back at Abby, and Dustin's like, "Yeah, I'd have her and all." And that was said. He's a wanker.
It's it kind of it's sort of a dark foreshadowing, I suppose. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that. So then they're off to, the big city or whatever. I don't even know if they have to travel anywhere, if it's just a big elevator.
Yeah,
But
I think it's just a massive elevator,
but it's
which is after the.
it's the metaphorical, going to the big city kind of deal.
Yeah, definitely. Which is after Binger's bought the ticket, which has now actually cost him 15 million merits.
Oh yeah, that's worth mentioning as well. Yeah, instead of the 12, they thought it's the full 15. So he's basically spending his entire savings. There's nothing left over after this.
Yep, roll credits, everyone. We're done. That's the name of the title. There we go. But yeah, so advert number 5 happened in there as well. But yeah, like you said, we're at the big city, we're at the audition room, and sort of there's just this cacophony of warm up noises and flailing of limbs as people are just trying to prepare. Yeah, and there's no order for this hot shot. Once you bought the ticket, you go there every day until they decide they want you.
Yeah. The one girl mentions that she'd been there for a week, or been waiting in line for a week.
Yeah,
and I was like,
would be
and she was just put straight to the back of the line.
yeah, that would be Glee, the most annoying singer I've ever heard, or the most annoying person I've ever heard. But she's a good singer. I'm a good singer. It's like, oh, shut up. We know in storytelling terms you're not going to be a good singer. Let's see if we're proven right. But yeah, Abby gets told to preview.
Yeah, they basically put her on immediately. She doesn't have to wait at all.
Yeah. And yeah, she gets this moment where it's just like, oh, do you want to be like Selma one day? And it's like, yes, please. And she goes, well, can you just say that as a self-contained sentence in front of the camera, please? I would like to be like Selma someday. And it's like, oh, God, it makes me wonder if that is always behind the scenes at an X Factor style show.
From what I've heard, I can vouch that things like that are not at all uncommon in such shows, but that's a whole aside.
Yeah. So we get Abby going on a stage, and she's given a drink of compliance.
Yeah. Probably the most on the nose part of the whole episode. It's just like, would you like to drink some compliance?
It's like, no thanks. It's like, I was just being polite. Drink it. So yeah, she drinks it, downs it.
Sounds like a mandatory drink.
Yeah. So she meets the judges: Judge Hope, Judge Charity, and Judge Rafe. Where have we heard that name before? And yeah, we now get the performance.
But you forgot about the fourth judge, Judge Dredd.
Ah, Judge Dredd. Oh, he was in the background somewhere. I'm sure someone was there was a helmet for their doppel.
Judge Dredd helmet in the audience. He's like, I am the law.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I saw a Captain Falcon head piece in the crowd of people. It's like aviator helmet sort of thing.
Nintendo's coming in.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They did look more like Mii's. Well, there was sort of a mix between Mii's and the Xbox Live avatar, which at the time would have been on the nose. But yeah, she's singing, everyone's all happy, and then Judge Hope sticks up his hand and goes, that was without a doubt the best voice we've heard all season. And everyone's cheering, and he just goes, yeah, but that's not enough.
Boo.
Yeah, we don't just want a singer, we want someone who can use their talents elsewhere. And Rafe pops his scummy face into the conversation and is like, yeah, you could do on my... Yeah, your titties. Man, your titties. They're great. And, just invites her to basically join his Rafe Babes service. And you can see Abby's trying to not do it, but something's in her head, probably the compliance, is like, well, I guess I'll take this opportunity. I mean, it gets me off the bike, which they mention, it's Rafe Babes or the bike. And Bing just gets dragged away at this point because he knows what's up. But yeah, she accepts. And, the delight of the crowd, Dustin, Kai, who's just an idiot, he'll cheer for whoever he's told to cheer for. Swift actually decides that that's a bad idea.
Despite the fact that she's clearly jealous of her, she, actually has a moment of, empathy for...
Yeah.
sort of for her fellow
for Abby.
employee worker.
Fellow woman.
So
I felt like, I feel like there was a bit of like, oh wow. I mean, I was never your friend. I didn't really like you, but I wouldn't wish that on you.
And that gets pretty proven quite quickly at this point, because we get back to other montages of just Bing going through his day, and he's numb at this point. Nothing's happening. She's gone.
I noticed that one change. He immediately goes from eating like fruit and stuff to like it was like shitty looking fish fingers and fries, just like garbage food. Doesn't really care about his health. Doesn't care about taking care of himself. He's just doing his thing.
Yeah, and then wasting whatever merits he has left, which is very important at this point, because
now that he's out, he gets to a point where he can't afford to skip any more ads. So he's just stuck with whatever's presented to him.
Yep, and that is known when advert number 6 for Rave Babes appears.
Rave Babes, Rave Babes, Rave Babes.
I just love that that's the warning counter for a Rave Babe advert is Dariusz' Rave Babes warning. But yeah, so now we see the Rave Babes reality special, and we see what can assume to be Rafe basically assaulting Abby sexually at this point. And Bing doesn't want to see this, but he's got no choice. Like Duncan said, he's ran out of the merits.
Yeah, he's out of credits, he can't skip it, and he just flips out. Just completely loses his shit, tosses everything around in his room, starts slamming his hands and his face against the screen. Well, I mean, he tosses everything he can.
Yeah. I mean, even himself, he's just smashing himself into the cell, trying to get out. Door doesn't open during an advertisement.
Get out. Hey! It came back around at the most inappropriate time. Get out. Yeah. That's how he got his role, because he tried to get out.
And he manages to smash some of the glass, but still can't leave the cell. But now the advert's just playing and looping. It's all fucked up. And all that's left for him at that point is an empty cup of compliance. I think he's still got the origami penguin at this point. He's
tucked it under his mattress.
Yeah. And a shard of glass, which he uses to try and cut a stamp that showed he was a friends and family member for Hotshot, just out of his wrist, and then sort of looks to have an idea.
Yes, he some revelation goes off in his mind.
Yeah. So he then ends up being, at this point in the montage, he's the first to appear on the bikes, he's the last to leave. He's skimping on any merit spending he can.
Just, barely scraping by with his, on his toothbrush, his toothpaste. Just like little tiny drip. He's like stealing food. An excellent callback, actually, where some random woman tries to use the broken vending machine that he's been having trouble with this whole episode, but she just walks away before anyone can address it. So he just goes in and takes the apple. It's like, hey, I thought that was a really clever comeback.
Yeah. Definitely. Sort of using that trick now for himself and only himself.
Yeah, and what else was it? But yeah, no. So basically, he's just maxing out his lifestyle, minimizing his expenses, and you can tell by the progression of the stamp, which he was told would only last about 2 months at maximum, that this takes some time. It was definitely over 2 months because the stamp is fully faded by the time the montage ended. I don't know if it's meant to be implied that there was significantly more than 2 months, but definitely some months have passed.
Yeah, I believe it's called back in the episode that they say that sort of mileage
is
6 months worth, yeah.
However, you really have to save on every single bit, isn't it?
Yeah, referred to it as the starve and save lifestyle.
Definitely.
That's what Abby called it.
But then, we get to that point where, after that montage, Bing gets exactly 15 million merits and just empties out his account. So you can kind of see what he's trying to do at this point. So, there was other entertaining bits where it looked like he was just popping and rocking and bipping and bopping and trying to learn some sort of dance. And, he buys his golden ticket. He heads to Hotshot. He ends up in the audition room.
That was
in the
actually
cacophony of sounds.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, it's not a cacophony of sounds at first. It's actually an excellent transition. Where
Yes.
he's the only person in the room other than the one security guard. He just basically picks a spot, stares at a wall, becomes completely motionless, and then it's just like snap cut. He's still in the exact same position while everyone else is filled in around him and has started doing their rehearsal. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's that Twitter account in there, One Perfect Shot, that needs to end up in there. Because I know they only do movies, but if that needs to end up in there, yeah, of just exactly there, and the music sort of goes down and then crescendo, done, and sort of everyone's there, and he gets there, he gets his preview, because it turns out in the back they're looking for a
athletic guy.
Yeah, athletic guy. Oh no, wait, sorry. Oh, an ethnic one.
Yeah, there's lots of just like there's like overt themes, and then there's like little subtle bits of things like that going on, where it's like, oh, we got a little bit of a racial thing going on, where it's like, oh, we've had too many white dudes apply for this show, now let's throw in an ethnic one, for diversity's sake or whatever, which I never even bothered to make a note of this because it was just too minor to me. But it's like, okay, so I guess that plays into modern. Talk about modern cinema and media and how how politically correct everything is. But it's like it's not even like necessarily about being political correctness. It's all just like. It's a form of marketing, essentially, where it's just like, just look at how diverse we are. We've got the ethnic one, we've got the female one. This one's gay, this one's autistic. We're all here. We're all holding hands. And it's so prevalent in media today, and it's like, once again, Black Mirror is just calling the shots. Babe Ruth, except Babe Ruth got 3 home runs in a row. It's like, I'm gonna shoot it right over there. Hits it 3 times in a row.
Definitely. So yeah, no, you're right. It's just this sort of like this. We're only fulfilling the diversity quota because we feel it will make us look better, rather than actually looking for that. So it's dodgy, very dodgy.
And it's just a tiny throwaway line. I gave it no significance until just now, and I was like, oh my god. But yeah. So anyway. Get Out, also known as Bing, gets out onto the stage. He lies about taking his compliance. He just shows him the crumpled up thing that he's been keeping this whole time.
And I love that little bit as well, because she's like, and you're on stage in 3, 2, 1. The moment she says 1, cup just falls on the floor.
Drops on the floor. Love it.
It's just great. Because he's laser focused on what he's going to do, to a point. So he gets out, he's an entertainer of sorts, he says he's going to do a dance, and we just cut to this music video using the Rafe Babes advertising, so you can kind of see where he's aiming at here. Does the dance, and he's all over, and then suddenly, bam!
It's all perfectly adequate dance, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, straight off, shots and neck.
Yeah, so he brought the piece of glass that he broke out of his screen with him.
Yep.
Well,
it turns out there's security fill.
At this point, I was thinking he either would kill the judges, either he will kind of try to kill himself and make it so that everyone can view it, or he will try to get into the Rape Babes and be a star.
Sort of get his way to Abby that way. Yeah, but no, he goes for a different thing, because he's just there with the judge to his neck, and he's like, oh yeah, if you come anywhere near me, you kill me, and just gets there. Hope starts talking about, oh, what's he here to do, a speech? You wanna do a speech? Well, come on then, speak. And at that point, we then have the speech, which I'm going to try and get through as quick as I can. It's just a load of words here, but...
And you will probably not present it nearly as eloquently as he does.
No, but I will certainly try. So yeah, when forced to speak, he goes, I haven't got a speech, I didn't plan words, I didn't even try to. I just knew that I had to get here, to stand here, and I knew you wanted to listen, to really listen, not pull a face like you're listening, like you do the rest of the time. A face like you're feeling instead of processing. You pull a face and poke it towards the stage, and we la-dee-da, we sing and we dance and tumble around, and all you see up here, it's not people. You don't see people up here, it's all fodder. And the fake of the fodder is the more you love it, because fake fodder is the only thing that works anymore. Fake fodder is all that we can stomach. Actually, not quite all. Real pain, real viciousness, that we can take. Yeah, stick a fat man up a pole and we'll laugh ourselves feral because we've earned the right. We've done cell time and he's slacking the scum, so ha 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 at him. Because we're so out of our minds with desperation that we don't know any better. All we know is fake fodder and buying shit. That's how we speak to each other. How we express ourselves is buying shit. I have a dream. The peak of our dreams is to buy a new hat for our doppel, a hat that doesn't exist. It's not even there. We buy shit that's not even there. Show us something real and free and beautiful. You couldn't. It'd break us. We're too numb for it. Our minds would choke. There's only so much wonder we can bear. That's why when you find any wonder whatsoever, you dole it out in meagre portions, and only then till it's augmented and packaged and pumped through 10,000 pre-assigned filters, till it's nothing more than a meaningless series of lights, while we ride day in, day out, going where? Powering what? All tiny cells and tiny screens and bigger cells and bigger screens, and fuck you, that's what it all boils down to, is fuck you. Fuck you for sitting there and slowly knitting things worse. Fuck you and your spotlight and your sanctimonious faces, and fuck you all for taking the one thing I've ever come close to anything real about anything. For oozing around it and crushing it into a bone, into a joke, one more ugly joke in a kingdom of millions, and then fuck you. Fuck you for happening, fuck you for me, for us, for everyone, fuck you. That is probably the best speech, or the best sort of monologue that I've heard in a while.
Yeah, it was an excellent emotional climax, and anyone watching this, anyone listening to this, you owe it to yourself to either watch the show, the episode, or at the very least find a clip of that. It's a pretty excellent scene.
Yeah, it's just all the rage and the anger and the sort of the hopelessness that's come out on that.
Kudos for the writers, because that's their writing, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, absolutely. No, it's excellently. It was excellently written. It's poignant. It's intelligent. You know,
yeah.
But certainly the performance does give it a whole different life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, that is the scene that Jordan Peele saw. That's what got Daniel Kaluuya's big break. And at that point, yeah, with that, fucking deserves it.
Earned.
Absolutely. And you know, it was a great speech on that. But you know what the problem was? In terms of the story of the episode at that point, everyone loved it as a speech.
Yeah, because it's supposed to open the eyes to everyone in front of the screen.
Yeah.
To make the judges, how he said, listen like they feel, not like just listen like just something fake.
But then, of course, here comes Mr. What's his name? Mr. Hope?
Judge Hope. Judge Hope.
You know, he basically does exactly what you would expect him to do, and immediately starts working the commercial angle for it.
Yeah, and says, "Oh, this will be great entertainment. You know, it'll be great. You have one of my streams. People need to feel this pain and sort of understand where you are, and I feel it'll sort of help them in their lives." Rafe looks at it and just goes, "Oh yeah, the knife cutting thing, the glass neck thing, nice gimmick."
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like
it's been distilled to a gimmick.
So all three judges are just, you know, in favor of him just, you know, doing his thing, becoming, you know, another form of entertainment. You know, the crowd gets up and they're cheering and they're like, "Oh, come on, do it." And honestly, it sounds like a terrible thing to say. I was rooting for him to just get himself
slash his throat.
Yeah, it's just like, just get out while you can. Again, get out. It's just another reference because I can't speak in anything other than references. But sadly, what happens next?
Yeah, just absolutely nothing has changed at this point, really, in terms of the world of the people on the bikes.
Yep.
People are still buying shit, as shown by Kai. People are still watching shit shows. Dustin's still watching like sort of Bother Guts and Rave Babes, and Abby's looking really worse for wear at this point. So her dreams.
She looks just dreadful.
Yeah, she's just gone. Swift is looking initially at a stream of Bing with a glass shard to its throat. Turns out he took the offer for that stream and is still going. And she decides at that point, enough. She just puts the Rolling Road app on and just gets on with her day. And Bing, he finishes his stream. and then puts the glass shard away in the prop box.
Yep, now the glass that he was going to use to kill himself is essentially just his prop now. Doesn't really mean anything other than that. He's definitely moved up to a nicer apartment. It's bigger. There's more natural light. Natural light, that's important. But before we get to that, we've got a little poignant callback. We've got a wooden penguin on his desk there.
Indeed, we do.
Sort of reminding him of what used to be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because he's even at that point, he just knew that he had the choice of either fight the system or join the system, and he just took it. And that sort of calls back as well that compliance did shit. If you wanted to do something, you'd do it. Didn't need some medicated drink to force you what to do. And he then pours out a glass of real orange juice and stares out to what is assumed to be a real forest just in the outside.
Yep, and the episode ends on him looking out over this canopy of trees. I don't really know. I don't know where it is or what location it's supposed to be, but it's just an endless forest. You got birds flying by.
Yeah.
So. And then a rendition of what's that song what's it called?
Anyone Who Knows What Love Is.
That one.
Which
that Abby was singing. Another rendition of that starts playing, and that's the final shot of the episode before it cuts to credits.
Yeah.
And that is episode 2, 15 Million Merits, Black Mirror.
Yep. And that is done. So, I want to give us we've managed to get a little bit of time, so we can go for some analysis-y points here.
I've got one.
Yeah.
That piece of glass which he had.
Yes.
It's a really similar piece of glass on the starting title screen.
Yes. So the crack that happens at the beginning, and the fact that
I would say it's exactly the same kind of piece of glass which is popping out the screen. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if we will find similar looking pieces of glass through the rest of the series.
It is possible. Like I say, I'm gonna not give anything away. Being that I've sort of watched all this, and it's nice to see we've got that sort of call, and you'll sort of notice it's too early into the series to start calling back to other episodes, because it was never going to be originally like that anyway. It was just going to be an anthology of stuff. But do you think that? Let's try and analyze sort of the stuff that we've got on here. So we've got the technology, which is in this case, other than primitive exercise bags, it's just sort of gamification, really, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, really, it's like the entire lifestyle that these people live is just centered around accumulating these essentially meaningless merit points, just so it's like they pay a little bit for their food and whatever, but really it's all just it's all they really do with it is feed themselves and put hats on their crappy digital avatars.
Yeah, it's just empty stuff, isn't it? That's what it really is.
Yeah. Well, the most pointless thing, for me, and from my point of view, is okay. That might be a real job where you have to ride a bike to power something, so you get some money. But then, why would you buy some shit like seriously things for your avatar?
Yeah.
That's one thing which I cannot really understand. Okay, I get it. Yes, I will make my avatar looks good once for a lifetime, basically. But not like the other people spending it on like daily basis. Oh, new hat, let's buy it.
Yeah, I mean that was the Kai character on that. He was just characterized. I mean, one could argue that he's a bit of a two-dimensional character, but that was exactly the point. He was just the guy that buys everything.
Yeah, I think part of that, what it is like it's supposed to show you that that was a thing that was established maybe some time ago, where it's like, ooh, like these avatars, they first come out and it's like, ooh, it's so exciting that we have all these avatars that we can use to represent ourselves in various situations, and we can express ourselves creatively and whatever, kind of like the new age form of like, your favorite t-shirt, it's like it's a logo that expresses things that you like and are loyal to. It's an image of something that matters to you. Maybe it's something funny, maybe it's something poignant, whatever. But it's sort of the digital equivalent of that. But then it's like as time goes on, and the society just sort of moves towards this very plain, sleek, drab, worn down to the nub boring lifestyle, we still have this sort of symbol of something that was, creative and meaningful some time ago, but, is essentially just worthless now because no one has any interest in being creative or different. No one really strives to stand out. This guy. I always forget his name. The ginger guy. His Kai. He was like briefly thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll put a little afro on my ginger guy." And he's like, "Oh, what do you think?" And the girl next to him is just like, "It's a bit much, don't you think?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." And it just goes back to basically emulating himself. Just making his avatar look as much like him as possible. Nothing creative or imaginative about it. So it's like you have this. It's just symbolic of something that just has no meaning in their modern society anymore. And I think that's part of what was going on there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, especially with the way that they're sort of all doled out their uniform effectively. It's like all your creativity must go into these avatars because it's not like you're allowed to wear anything different.
Yeah, they specifically have a line about like you can't even choose your own clothes unless you're like, a famous person, essentially.
Yeah. And that's probably another thing there. So this is basically class structure in this world. Because so you've got your bike riders. They're the working class. They're the people powering the lights, as Just Hope says. I said Just Hope instead of just Judge Hope. Maybe it's like a game of Just Dance. It's Just Hope. Sort of keeping people sort of working. That's their job. Their 9 to 5. And you've got the sort of the middle class at that point, which are actually really the judges, sort of upper middle. There doesn't seem to be like owners of the thing. They're still there having to do something, but they've got the merits, they've got the power, sort of the money to get things down. Which then that takes sort of the lemons at that point to be the lower working class or the unemployed people who sort of don't deserve the time.
The people who don't exist.
Yeah, the people. Yeah, the untouchables. The sort of the lowest caste. Yeah, so the lowest caste you could actually have, and they're there just for humiliation and entertainment, but not out of any sheer talent. They're like the reality TV stars at that point, because we've got to take back into this. This is Connie Hook had a lot of input in this, and when she was on the Extra Factor. Probably a lot of the stuff that comes about in 15 Million Merits is based on her experience in this show. Just so you know on that, she ended up leaving the Extra Factor just before that episode came out and had been, in no uncertain terms, not requested back. It's sort of the show is more of, at this point, this episode is more of an expose about the back going-ons of reality TV. Just as much as it is a technology-focused thing about.
That kind of goes back to your question / point from earlier about please repeat that into the camera as a complete sentence. It's just like, well, I mean, we've got somebody who worked behind the scenes on shows like this, working on the episode, so it's not a stretch of the imagination to assume that could be based on a real life experience.
Yeah, so that's. That's the thing. I mean, we look at now sort of the modern day. We've got stuff like Love Island, and we had the Jeremy Kyle show earlier. So we had a talk show and a reality TV show about dating people. And just to go, it's very big in the modern mind at the moment because of the high level of suicides that have occurred during these shows. And this sort of brings it back on a very, very dark point here, but there's just this sort of thing that, the reality TV industry doesn't care for the people that are on those shows.
They care about just the audience, to have the views.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the big story on this was two big stories. One was of a woman and her then boyfriend who within weeks of each other had committed suicide after not getting any aftercare from the producers of Love Island. They were just there for the time. So showed them what they were doing and sort of let them run. And then it just sort of didn't, once they had their 15 minutes of fame or whatever, they ended up out in the real world and they realised that they weren't like the big it. The audience and the world doesn't care much for a reality TV contestant after the fact, unless they're, in business or doing something or can sort of get their jobs elsewhere. And it sort of spiraled out of control. she ended up on a drug binge and overdosed, and a boyfriend, reeling from that, had then took his own life by hanging himself. I apologise for making that very, very dark at that point, but it's stuff like this that brings it in.
I mean, that's the heart that the whole show was trying to get at.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of depressing at that point that 8 years down the line, it seems that things haven't changed, but they got worse.
God, that's like I'm walking home from work. I see there's a brand new advertisement on one of my bus stops advertising the new season of America's Got Talent or Someone's Got Talent. Some country's got talent. You know, and I'm just like, God, all the horrible stories I've heard about the way people are treated on that show. It's like I just shake my head, walk on by. It's just like, oh boy. Mm-hmm. I want to. And we're going on a bit long, but I also want to take a minute to circle around to another theme for the episode here. This sort of theme of like authenticity and like sentiment and things like that. Where I think that theme was very well encapsulated with this sort of running theme of people giving people other things. In one of the first scenes of the episode, we have girl one, what's her name again? The girl who's kind of like into Bing, but Bing's not into her.
Oh, Swift.
Swift, that's what. So Swift, shows her how to get the apple out of the vending machine, right? It's like, it gets jammed, and she's like, oh, it's just a trick to it. Just do this, and boom, here's an apple. And it's like, and it's like, on the surface, this seems like, this should be significant. Like, oh, it's, here's an apple. It's this life-giving piece of food. This is sustenance. This will keep you alive. And here's this person going out of their way to give it to you, and it's like, oh, you'd think, oh, this is like significant, but Bing is just like, he just doesn't care. Like, it's just meaning. Like, it's meaning. Here's this, like, there's this thing that's essential to his life, but all the comments they make about like how it's probably just fake. It's made in a petri dish. There's nothing natural or real about it. Mm-hmm. So it's not. So it's essentially a meaningless thing, even though it is the thing that keeps him alive. And then you circle back around to another later on in the episode, and here's Abby giving Bing the little origami penguin toy that she made for him, and it's a totally different reaction. He's like, thank you. Like he's like, oh, this is really nice. Thank you for making this for me. And here's this thing that's essentially meaningless. It's trash that she folded up into a cute shape. It doesn't keep her alive. It doesn't keep him alive. It doesn't keep him warm at night. It doesn't keep his lights on or anything. But it's this real thing that she made as an expression of her own creativity and as a sign of affection for him. It's a real connection that
something
that
which
she's making with him.
More meaning than stuff you buy.
Yeah, it's like it's exactly. It's you can say it's like the difference between something something mundane and something unique. You could say it's the difference between something that you bought and something that you made. And I think that sort of and I think that sort of embodies the theme of authenticity in the episode, as well as like the value of sentiment. Like, it's okay to have these things in your life that are essentially worthless, things that don't do anything for you. It's okay to have these things as long as there's something meaningful behind it. It what matters is how it makes you feel. Why do you have this? Why did you buy it? Is it important to you personally? Instead of just it's contrast that against all the digital avatar bullshit. Which is all just meaningless stuff that doesn't mean anything. It's just it's just crap. And I think that was a subtle but well handled sort of secondary theme to this episode, and I wanted to get in on that.
Yeah, no, that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so have we got anything else anyone wanted to bring up?
Well, I've liked this episode more than the previous one.
I was gonna ask, actually. I'm glad that you liked it.
So that one was more in terms of my theme, something what I do enjoy. Spoilers alert! I do like the next one as well.
All right, well that's good. No pig sex in this one. Just a little bit of regular sex, I guess, but no pig fucking.
Just
Still,
human interactions and entertainment. So I was actually just going to bring up on that point then, if we went past the analysis, I was going to bring up the list. Here it is. So yeah, it's just currently number 1, the national anthem. So, it's number 1 purely based on the fact that it was the only episode that we watched. So would we go on a consensus at that point to say that 15 Million Merits definitely takes that top spot at this time?
I mean, I think both episodes. I mean, I know we're not in consensus, looking at Darius, but I think both episodes are extremely well constructed. They both have an interesting message. They're very well written.
Yeah.
I think that the performances and very strong sentiment and authentic, not to use a pun, emotion and themes of this episode put it in my top spot for now.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, based on this now, things might change as we're going through this on a rewatch form, but this episode for me is my best, is my favourite on this.
Are you saying that's based on you've watched all of them or just so far?
That was based off, it was when I watched it initially, when I had watched them. Sort of going back onto it, it is still there at this time. Things might change as we sort of discuss stuff going along through the other episodes, but yeah, this is the one that sort of resonated with me most, mainly probably as a gamer. It sort of felt, like I say, with sort of gamification is probably one of the big themes in this, sort of turning everything into this point earning, achievement earning, avatar purchasing sort of world. It sort of resonated with me, and then sort of this was at the point where I was, I'll say it, a lot of people were into reality TV at the time, and I was one of them. This was one of the episodes that sort of changed my feeling of it. Sort of how cynical everything had become about, and how overpackaged and manufactured that it actually was. So yeah, this sort of resonated with me a little bit, and that's where it sort of hits my favourite. So I'd be sort of like with you guys, I guess, in this case, that certainly it deserves the number 1 spot at this time.
All right. Well, that was. I think that was a nice discussion. It's a little on the long side, but I actually don't mind going longer on this particular podcast. It's it's the kind of thing that invokes discussion.
Yeah, and that's certainly what we're looking for. And that's why we sort of tried to sort of balance it out. Maybe we could sort of work a little bit better, but certainly once we get feedback on that, we can adjust as needed. Maybe it's just a case of that it depends on the episode that we're talking about. It depends whether we focus more on the discussion or whether we go on the story. This sort of had that balance where we could, like you say, go long a little bit and sort of have a bit of a talk on it.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna, if I remember going forward, I plan to I'm gonna still have my stream of consciousness notes, just keeping tabs on all the things that are happening in the episode, as well as momentary feelings that I have. And then I think in conclusion, I should rough out some talking points that I want to elaborate on further, towards the end of the podcast, like I did here. Instead of just sort of improvising it, I can kind of have a little bit more of an organized discussion, at the end. That way I don't have to pop in every 5 minutes saying, oh, this is how I feel about this. This is what I'm thinking about this. I could just sort of let the synopsis read itself out and then just kind of, let it all out at the end there. I think that's where I want to be by the next episode or within the next couple episodes.
Yeah, no, that's cool. If we can get that sort of sorted, that'd be probably the way to go. It's it's like I say, it felt better doing that. But see how you all think. Before we get to the wrap up on that though, we do have the graph, which won't have changed. The deaths in Black Mirror graph. Probably a lot of people's dreams died, but they're not.
I like to think that Abby's probably dead inside.
Yeah, it's it's a shame, but that's what Rave Babes does to you. That's what happens with the porn industry, I guess. But so if you liked what you heard and want to hear more of this, because we certainly want to carry on this journey and want you to all listen to it, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, comment, let everyone know. We'll see if we can keep going with that. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, click that subscribe button and keep that going in that way. And until next week, where we move on to talk about the entire history of you.
Next fortnight, rather.
Next fortnight, even. Thank you. Not even sticking to our own thing. I think I'm just so used to saying next week that to have anything other than that is sort of it'll work. It'll get out of my head. Just keep reminding me, and everything will be good. But next fortnight we move on to the entire history of you, the last episode of the first series of Black Mirror, and a one that got picked up as a script for a movie by Robert Downey Jr. We'll talk about that again next time. But thank you, Duncan, and
Pleasure.
thank you, Dariusz.
Pleasure to be here.
And until next time, keep watching, and don't kill each other.
Should we have something different for this podcast?
I was gonna say,
maybe
it's like we
this
should.
one.
I feel like the don't kill each other thing should be to stick to the immaterial gamers. You know, I should probably have something
I
different.
should probably stick with that. So where should we go? Because I just went with keep watching there. Maybe. Ooh.
Don't get cyberbrain.
Don't get cyberbrain.
How about let's see.
Fear us.
Fear us.
Yeah.
Fear the net.
Well, what do you say in the intro where you're like, you know, when you turn off your phone?
Oh, just stare at the.
Just
Just
keep,
stare into the blackness.
like just keep looking or something. Just
Yeah,
just
look at yourself. We'll brainstorm.
Yeah.
We will brainstorm. We'll figure that out. But until next time, we'll see you in a fortnight.
See
See
you
you.
later.
Bye.